Hello and welcome back to the channel. So like I've mentioned in previous videos, there's not many perks of being a small creator here on YouTube, apart from the fact that I'm able to be honest and have integrity with this channel. So when ON1 reached out to me and said, would I like to receive ON1 Photo Max Raw 2025 free of charge for me to try out, they'd provide me with an affiliate code, and anyone that buys the product, I'll get a small commission. That wasn't really my primary motivator, because at the end of the day, I've made such a tiny amount of money using affiliate links over the 6 years I've been on YouTube. That was definitely not my motivation to make this video. What was my motivation was getting an email from Adobe saying that my Lightroom and Photoshop subscription was going up from $9.99 a month to $14.99 a month. That's gone up by a third. If the price of your weekly shopping had gone up by a third, you definitely wouldn't be happy, and it's a large increase. So when I got the email from ON1, I knew it was something that I definitely needed to check out for myself and potentially for other people that are sick and tired of, Adobe owning the market and kind of taking the mick a little bit with it. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into ON1 and see if it's really as good as what they claim. So let's jump into it. So this is just to show you the full experience. I'm not trying to hide anything here. So we're still waiting for it to load. It's going to pop up saying checking for updates or downloading updates. You don't have to have this, but that'll pop up. And here we are. We've got our Lightroom sort of catalog, all my images on my D drive, all down here. And you can choose not to show this at launch, but one of the major perks of ON1 is that the amount of tutorials and community features that there are is absolutely crazy. I mean, we're going to the video library now, and there are a ridiculous amount of courses and videos to teach you. I mean, you've got importing and replacing skies, edit portraits and wildlife, how to fix overexposed photos, masking. There really is something for everyone in here, and it's a great way to get started. I spent a whole evening going through these videos, and the creators that have done them are absolutely great. So that's one thing I like about ON1 already. It can be quite hard to go into Lightroom and find all the tutorials a lot of the time from YouTubers. Here you've got all of this, and you've also got weekly emails that you can sign up to as well. So yes, let's get back to ON1, and we'll just go and find a nice image that I really like this image. So we'll click on this, and we'll make sure that it's all reset. So this is what you'll get coming into ON1. In the Develop tab, you will find pretty much everything that you're used to seeing with Lightroom. Now, one of the advantages of ON1 is that camera profiles are supported. You'll be shocked at how many editing softwares don't actually support profiles. So this was shot on a Lumix G80 quite a few years ago now. So we'll go into camera standard, which I shoot all my pictures on the standard profile on Panasonic because I like accurate looking images. That doesn't mean that I'm correct, that's just what I like. And we can do so much with this image. So what I'm going to show you now is the super select. So we'll literally drag that, and I'm literally just placing it over our hair. Click on that, we'll go to our adjustment. And let's go, this is really powerful. We'll go with the dynamic contrast. So we go with the dynamic contrast filter, and that's applied it. And now look at the difference. Look at how it really makes the subject pop. And that's just with one slider. We can choose to adjust it. So it was on 15. We can adjust it all to taste. But 9 times out of 10, ON1 gets that pretty much bang on. And already our subject looks really good. What we do, we'll find a white spot on the hair just to check our white balance. So we go back to our Develop tab, find a bright white spot. And there we go. That's definitely given the image more of that golden, early morning kind of hue to the image. And already I am liking this as is. We could crop it, but I think we're good how we are. So we'll accept that. Now, what else can we do? How good is the denoise? So we can see this was shot at, it was shot on a G80, it's ISO 800. So G80 is an older micro four thirds camera. ISO 800, you're definitely going to see some noise at 100%, although it's, when you come to print that, I don't necessarily think you'd notice it, but let's denoise it. So what we can do is we'll use no noise AI, and I mean that has completely got rid of all the noise that was in the image. That's really quite nice. The problem is it's sharpened up our hair, what I would say is a little bit too much. So on our enhanced detail slider, it's at 50, we'll go halfway. That looks a lot more natural. I'm quite happy with that. So we'll hit apply. And then we've ended up with an image with no noise whatsoever, but I did see this little bit of sensor dust here. So what we'll do, we'll go to our healing brush and we'll just click there. I mean, that's already got rid of it. Let's just show you the power of this software. So this little clump of grass here, I don't find it particularly distracting, but we can use the power of the generative eraser. So we'll just select this piece of grass, this dark area here. We will go with generative eraser, click generate, we'll add our layer. Now the only problem with ON1 is that when you're using a new tool, what happens is that it has to sort of download all the data to do that. So every time you use a new tool, you're sat in front of the computer for 5–10 minutes waiting for it to apply. It'd be a lot nicer because the download size on ON1 isn't particularly large. I would rather have all of the options available to me straight away than having to download every little option and it's happened on numerous occasions. But look at that. That is so natural. That has got rid of that distraction. A treat. That is, we've just clicked on retry. That one, I mean, I'm happy with that as well, so we'll go with that. We've got another little distraction here. I think, is that a bit of lens or it could be a bug? We'll go with a perfect eraser. Oh, and that's gone. That is absolutely perfect. I am more than happy with that. So yeah, that's just on one image showing you the power of ON1. What we've got local, so you've got local effects. You've got all of your different effects, so we can add filters. So let's say, for example, we want to blur the background. It's already pretty blurred, so let's just go with it anyway. So we've blurred the background, and yeah, I mean, that is a little bit too much. That's a Gaussian blur. We can bring that down. We can add, so it's a pretty, not a great image to try the blur on, because at the end of the day, it's a pretty shallow depth of field image anyway, but there's so many options. We can even change the sky. So for example, we'll go into sky and we can add clouds. We can turn it into a night sky. Let's just click on night. I mean, it's a pretty extreme example, but it just gives you some idea of what you can do, which is really, really cool. It wouldn't work on a wildlife image such as this, but if you had a landscape image, it would definitely be pretty cool. And what you've got all down the side here, you've got so many different presets. There are so many to choose from. You can download more for free. There's, I mean, not so useful if you're a wildlife photographer, but if you're doing, more artsy kind of stuff, definitely really cool. And there's so many to choose from. So yes, one other thing is if we scroll through all of our images, so it's just saving that as a layer. I took loads of images yesterday at Lackford Lakes, and you see how quick and snappy everything is. You can scroll through these images just as fast as you can in Lightroom. It's going through, loading them all quite nicely. Now, when you first use the software, you might find it's a little bit slow going through everything. And the reason for that was, if you go into your preferences, into your system, make sure it's selecting, if you've got a powerful graphics card, use that. Don't click auto or CPU. You want to be using your powerful graphics card to do all of this editing. So yeah, really quick and snappy. I had heard that you know, ON1 wasn't particularly fast compared to Lightroom, but to be fair, I haven't really had any real issues with the speed of ON1. So we've got another image here. We can use Brilliance AI and let the software make all our adjustments for us. We don't want to do that though. So we'll pick our standard picture profile. We definitely need to crop this. So let's go with a square image for this. I think that will do. Bring down our exposure a little bit. We'll bring those highlights down. Up the contrast. Check our white balance. There we go. That's a lot better, looks a lot more natural. What I'm probably going to do is get our dynamic contrast. Here we go, so we've got our hair, selected all of him. We will use our dynamic contrast filter, which I just think is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Look at that. And then we can denoise, turn down that enhanced sharpening. That is, I am quite impressed with that image. That is just a few quick, easy adjustments, and yeah, quite a nice image there. Hopefully that's shown you the power of ON1. I don't know if I'm going to be using it going forward, because at the end of the day, Lightroom has they've definitely captured the market. Once you're in that Lightroom Photoshop ecosystem, it's really hard to get out of it. You become so accustomed after using the software for so long, you almost don't want to give it up. I don't think that's something that, you know, watching a few more tutorials and getting to grips with ON1 couldn't fix. But yeah, what are my opinions and who do I think ON1 is for? Well, I've definitely proven that you can do all the adjustments that I would normally do as a wildlife photographer. I don't tend to over edit my images. I really like the fact that you've got camera profiles, you've got a big community, and I think the difference that I've noticed between Adobe and ON1 is that Adobe just seems like some sort of corporate giant that doesn't really care about us other than kind of increasing our prices every so often, whereas it looks like ON1 is really community focused. It's so focused on helping you to get the best out of your images, helping you with all the tutorials and stuff like that. And I think that's really to be commended. I'm definitely going to be using the software going forwards. It's also available as a plugin for Lightroom. So let's just say that you do own Lightroom like myself. You can actually use it as a plugin. So you can use stuff like your dynamic contrast and your favorite features from ON1 and bring that across into Lightroom. I'm on the fence. As much as I have paid, just before I made this video, I paid for the Lightroom subscription a year in advance. I would say that that was more because I didn't really have the time to go in and really learn ON1. I know Lightroom, I know Photoshop, and it just makes sense to me to stick within that. But if Adobe start putting their prices up even more, I am definitely going to be tempted by ON1. I definitely think that, you know, the program is more sort of aimed at newer photographers. Now, I'm not saying that as in it's aimed at amateurs or the software isn't for professionals. It absolutely is. I just think that if you've been using, in particular, Adobe products for a long time, there's no getting out of that ecosystem. It's quite hard to switch software, but I think if you started with ON1, you'd be happy with it. You would continue using it, and I don't think you'd necessarily feel left out that you didn't have Lightroom and Photoshop. But yes, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about ON1? Do you have any questions? Have you enjoyed this video? If there's anything that you'd like me to go over in ON1, please let me know. If you've got any questions just relating to the software itself, how to use it, or whether you think it's right for you, definitely leave your comments. If you've got anything to add towards the video, again, drop it in the comments. It's really good. I always endeavour to respond to all of your comments. I want to make this community as helpful and useful to you as it is to me. And yes, if you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button. It really does go a long way to putting these videos out to other wildlife photographers. And I will definitely see you on the next one. Take care.